Loosen up, get loose. Surrender.
Surrender.
Serenity now.
Serenity now. Merry Christmas to all. Merry Christmas, guys. While it is Christmas, we are actually on the eve of Kerstperiode. Tomorrow, Sunday, kicks off Dender Monday, and then we have Zolder on Monday. Then we have a break till Thursday with Lowen out. I'm skipping ball for New Year's, and then it's Hulst World Cup next Sunday into Gulligum Tuesday, and finally Herentals on Wednesday, and that ends Kerstperiode. And that's also the last race for me. The reason for this video, I just wanted to walk you guys through some bike prep. So we raced last weekend. We did Saturday, Sunday in Ruckven and at Namur. Namur was a bloodbath, as you guys saw. Lots of mud, really tough conditions, and then we had a whole week to train on the bike. Kind of wanted to walk you guys through what's going on in Spencer's head, how he's getting the bike ready for a big block of racing. And while this is like kind of cross bike focused, I mean, you can take all of this and spread it out over, you know, all bike prep for any race. So yeah, let's get into it. First thing first, make sure that thing is washed really well, especially your drivetrain. You want to have a really good degreaser. Don't need a ton of brushes. Spencer uses like a little paintbrush thing to apply some really good degreasers to the chain, and then a sponge to get the frame nice and clean. Then he'll use a bigger brush on the wheels to get like a lot of stuff off the wheels. Same paintbrush type of thing on the cassette, applying degreaser. And don't be afraid to go over the chain and the cassette more than once. You really want that old, gritty, grimy stuff out of the chain, off the cassette, out of the pulleys. And if that takes more than once, so be it. We are using a pressure washer. I don't care what y'all say. It's just the easiest way to do things, and no, we don't have to repack bearings every weekend. In fact, I don't have to repack bearings for this whole trip, and we'll be using a pressure washer on 11 different races. We have pits every lap. I mean, sure, pressure washer can be bad, but as long as you're not just like holding that thing straight into the bearings, you're probably gonna be okay. So anyway, once you get the drivetrain nice and clean, you got the frames clean, wheels are clean, everything's nice and tidy, bring it in and either let it drip dry or get yourself an air compressor and spray everything down, especially the drivetrain. Get all that moisture out of there, because lube won't set inside your chain pulleys as well, or at all if you're using a wax-based lube, if there is moisture in there. So make sure everything's dry. Use that air compressor to get any little bits of grass and stuff you missed out of your brake pads, out of your calipers. Once it's dry, there's a few things you're going to want to check over here. If you're always kind of going through this list, it'll really help you spot the kind of defects or the changes, and it'll just get quicker and quicker for you. So here's some things you're going to want to check. Check the pedals, make sure they don't spin make sure they spin freely but not too freely, and also make sure there's not too much play in them. Make sure your pulleys spin nice and freely. Again, you don't want them to spin too freely, otherwise you'll have to repack them with some grease. Check your Derailleur clutch. We're on the GRX Di2 system, so these clutches are serviceable. You just want to make sure that it's not too tight, it's not too loose. Again, you can service these. There's manuals online for that, but this is something you want to check. You want to check your headset, make sure it's not loose, obviously, and you also want to make sure it's not too tight. What you should do is put it in the stand and give the bar a flick, and it should spin pretty freely. Check those brake pads, make sure they're not worn or contaminated. Sometimes you can spray some grody water in there or drop a drip of lube on your pads, and that can actually just like completely fry brand new pads. You also want to check your brake pull. So give your levers a squeeze, and if there's way too much brake pull, that could be an indication that A, your pads are gone, or B, you're going to need a bleed because there's air in your brake line. Check your bolt torque. Stems should be at 5 Newton meters. Seat post should be at 5 Newton meters. Almost everything should be at 5 Newton meters. If you're on Shimano cranks, that's 13 Newton meters. There's spec. I'll put a link for specs on this in the video description below. Give your frame a once over, and this is also really good to do while you're washing it. It's easy to see when there's soap bubbles on your frame, if there's any cracks or defects in your frame. But then also do that kind of when you're going over everything, run your fingers over it, make sure there's no snag points. And finally, if you're on electronic stuff, like I'm on the Di2, make sure your battery's charged going into a race. Total rookie move to have a battery go dead on you in the middle of a race. So that about covers everything. If you have any questions or comments for Spencer, I'll ask him and answer those in the questions below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.